In other developing stories we're tracking for you, the Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services is on a nationwide oversight tour of prisons. Officials are assessing conditions, rehabilitation and management of those facilities. Today, the committee is visiting St Albans Correctional Centre in Gqeberha, and Newzroom Afrika's Sipha Kema is there tracking that story. Sipha, good morning. So this oversight visit isn't limited to the prison itself, Sipha, but it also extends to the entire facility.
One unit and then...
Absolutely, the entire facility, the entire system for each particular facility. This is not the only prison, as you said, Michelle, that it is a nationwide oversight visit by the Portfolio Committee for Correctional Services. I mean, we've heard some of the questions that were asked by the chairperson to some of the officials that actually work here. For an example, like for breakfast inside the kitchen, asking about the state of cleanliness, how many pots they have, as well as the stoves that are working, which they found that some were not working, and they were asked what is the reason for that. But also discovering things like one of the officials using a cell phone, asking how many officials are permitted to use a cell phone. And I bring the cell phone thing up, Michelle, because it is quite important when it comes to St Albans correctional facilities. I mean, we've heard that in court, one of the alleged murderers of the prosecutor, Prosecutor Brown, allegedly the call to assassinate her came from St Albans. So the cell phone is a bit of an issue for this prison.
Look, I think good morning to the viewers at home and good morning to yourselves. I think the issue of cell phones cuts across all correctional facilities. It's not excluding St Albans, so it's not an isolated case. We have a number of facilities that have an issue of contrabands. Amongst those, it is the smuggling of cell phones. But with officials, there should be a permitted number of officials that are allowed to use cell phones. Hence, we asked, is the lady permitted to use the cell phone? And if it did, they will give us that in writing in the debriefing, and also give us a number of officials that have been given authorization in St Albans to use cell phones, because we've seen a norm of officials using cell phones who are also not permitted to use them. And that can also be a way of them giving to inmates to use, to make calls outside. But the smuggling of cell phones is a serious concern across all correctional facilities. And the number they've given us when we started, it was around 315 that have been confiscated in searches in St Albans, which is the use of cell phones. So, but we're not here to do an unauthorized search. We're just here as the Portfolio Committee to do our normal oversight, and amongst other things is to get the real stats of contrabands that are being smuggled in the facility.
And when you came to St Albans, what were the main challenges, as every facility has its own unique issues to deal with? What are you looking for here in St Albans?
Amongst normal oversight, it's infrastructure, one. Two, it's whether inmates are incarcerated in a human way, because of human rights dictated that everyone must be given their dignified level. Three is to check whether there are systems in place to make sure wherever there are issues of running a correctional facility, then we can zoom into them. But what we have seen, and this is across the Eastern Cape, there is a number of vacancies. So you have positions that you would go in, acting area commissioner, acting head of centre and so forth. So those are a number of things that cuts across almost all facilities that we've been to since Tuesday. Another issue is the kitchen. The kitchen in St Albans, it's clean, it's fully functional, except that the pots are not being used, are not functional. Tilting pans, the fridge, almost everything in the kitchen is not operational except 2 pots that are being used. But in other facilities, it's an issue of the roof. It's highly dilapidated, but equipment in the kitchen are working. But what is of high importance or concern is that in all facilities that we've been to in terms of kitchens, they're not compliant in terms of the health and standard. There is no certificate that warrants them to operate. So meaning they've been cooking food in the kitchens with no health certificate of compliance, which is the worrying factor. In here, it says 2021. An official who's in charge of the kitchen says since she arrives in St Albans, stationed in that kitchen, she has never seen the health certificate or nor tried to apply in the local municipalities or district on that instance. So it's a high concern that we've picked up as members of parliament, which the department, when it debriefs us on Friday, it needs to tell us how are they going to deal with this matter, because I don't think we're at a state where we would say all the kitchens that are not compliant must shut down, because if you're saying they shut down or be closed, it means inmates are not going to get food.
Thank you so much. That's the chairperson for the Portfolio Committee, of course, conducting the oversight visit. Now, Michelle, we've only just visited the hospital area with the dispensary, which is where we are now, the regional hospital of the prison, but also we have also gone to the first area that we visited was the briefing session that they had. Now we were told that we will be moving to the cells as well, so that the members of the Portfolio Committee will be able then to see how exactly the inmates are being housed, how are they being kept within their cells, overcrowding issues. There have been complaints of overcrowding, not having enough space and room as well, including beds, some sleeping on the floor. So that's what they also want to see within those prison cells. But also one other department, other various departments are here, including Public Works. As you know, that you heard the chairperson saying that one of the main focuses that they'll be looking at is infrastructure. As you can see now, we are outside. We were told it's exercise time. The inmates are outside, and some of the members of the Portfolio Committee and Parliament are actually going back now. We are moving towards the cells so that we are able to see the state of the cells that the inmates are actually housed in. So we are moving from this area now to the next block, and I must say it is quite secure, because at every entrance that we're moving to is locked and is guarded, heavily guarded by some of these wardens. Now we can see up.
All right, Sipha Kema is keeping us up to speed there with that Portfolio Committee oversight tour of prisons. Sipha, tell us more about, once this tour is completed, and I suppose a report will be put together, what are the next steps then for the Portfolio Committee?
Now, the next steps, as she said, that they're going to conduct their reports. Now, keep in mind that this is not the only facility that they visited or plan to visit. Tomorrow, we do know that they will be moving to one in the Western Cape, the one that borders, of course, the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape. That's where they'll be moving to. And thereafter, they will then go back to conduct their reports on the oversight visit and what they came across from each facility. But also, they will be posing questions to the Commissioner of the Correctional Services, the National Commissioner for Correctional Services, who is also present here today and has been joining the oversight since Tuesday, where they had started with their visits at the various facilities. So from there on, they will issue their reports, but then they will also question the Commissioner on some of the issues and challenges that they've picked up. As you heard the chairperson mentioning the issue about the kitchens, where some of these facilities, they do not have health certificates for their kitchens, and they're just cooking. And she had also asked a question at one of the officials, asking whether or not the food had been tested. Is the food tasted before and tested before it is then sent to the inmates? Because they had said that the freezer isn't working. So they were asked how they're able to keep their meat fresh. And that's one of the issues that they've picked up at this particular facility. Now we are moving, Michelle, we're moving now to the cell section, where we will be seeing how exactly some of the inmates are housed. And I could tell you from what we saw while we were walking, you could tell that it is packed. There are a lot of prisoners within one cell, because they were all squished up to the windows. It's either that or they wanted to see us, but I can tell you that we did see that there were quite a lot of them inside.
I suppose we'll also get a sense now of the extent of overcrowding, which we know is an issue across our prisons in the country. Sipha Kema at St Albans Prison for us there, as Parliament's Oversight Committee probes management and conditions at the country's prisons.